Howdy ho, good neighbors. What's going on? It's Phil Russert. I know it's the middle of the day, but I actually took the day off from work since I work 7 days a week at my day job and then the publishing at night. So I kind of need my little breaks. Sporting my Rush shirt. Yeah, baby. What's up, Jeff? How are you? I don't know who else is in the room, but feel free to say hello. Um, I got a current campaign going on, and I'm looking at other people's campaigns, and I'm looking at what's going on in the industry, and it's there's so many facets to the industry that are taking place and really affecting some in an adverse way, some in a positive way, publishers from small to large, right? And just to be clear, before I get into my thoughts, I do want to put out the disclaimer. These are my opinions only, and they're based on my observations, some research, being a convention promoter and owner, a small publisher of only 2.5 years, but a small publisher, and a collector of art and comics for 40 years. So take it with a grain of salt. You may disagree with some things I say. You may think I'm talking out of my rear end. That's fine. You're welcome to join the conversation in the chat and give me the counterpoint or whatever the case may be, or expand upon things I say. All I ask is you keep it civil. We're allowed to have different opinions and thoughts. So just you're welcome to join the conversation, but don't make it adversarial or confrontational. Let's just talk, because there's a lot going on. And I'm not gonna lie, I have my frustrations going on, as I know others do as well. Alejandro, what's going on? Kevin, what's going on? Jeff, what's going on? But I don't want you to think this is an angry rant or anything, because it's not. It's kind of just talking about realistically the different things going on in the industry, some good, some bad, and how I feel like there's a bubble that's going to burst. And I know people have said that before, and there'll be people say it's not going to burst. You know what you're talking about, and that's very possible. Again, this is all speculation. But as you know, I have a campaign going on right now on Kickstarter, and to be honest with you, it's been trending down, and a lot of campaigns are underperforming. And I'm talking about even big names that are still doing good numbers that, to a guy like me, I'd kill to do those numbers, but they're underperforming. And a lot of people look and they see the overall number and they think you're doing great, but they don't understand you're comparing those campaigns to yourself. I compare my campaigns to no other campaign. I compare them to myself. So if I started out doing $10,028 with 226 backers on my very first campaign, and then I go to $10,102 with 212 backers, and then I go to $12,829 with 259 backers, there's growth going on. And that's a good thing, right? You look at crowdfunding, you say, hey, this is something viable, this is something sustainable, and there's growth that can happen. But then you look at the fourth campaign for Tragedy, and it's $7,944 with 192 backers. That is 68 lost backers or so, 67, and $5,000 of funding. That's a big step back. Now we flash forward to chapter 5, which is live now, and we are at $5,597 with 126 backers with 15 days to go. I know there are people that would, kill for those numbers, and I understand that. But looking at my campaigns and how they're trending, it's going backwards. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is because there's a lot of things to talk about. Kickstarter was originally created to kickstart your project, right? To get the funds to make it and go, which is understandable. It's a good model. It's a good idea. It was innovative at the time and everything, but it's kind of morphed, and it's being used now as a revenue stream, as a shopping site, and to grow following. And there's been some success with that. And there are some people that are successful. But if you look at the people that are successful, they usually had a big name and they were through distribution to begin with. Billy Tucci, Brian Pulido, people like that. So they brought that audience that they got from distribution over to crowdfunding, not the other way around. And I think that people are using crowdfunding in a different way now, which I think was succeeding briefly, and I think now it's faltering. Part of it is a poor economy. People don't have as much expendable income. But also I think Kickstarter has become a place where collectors and investors go, as opposed to readers. And it's hard to build a following based on just collectors and investors, because they're going to go for the cover they think is worth money or that they really like, which means you have to get big names or attract them with some sort of limited variant, which is really falsely inflating the price and controlling the market, because you're the one who's deciding to only print 20. So you're putting a false value on a book that wouldn't be there if it was, an unlimited run. So we're using a lot of the 90s tactics now in sales. Like in the 90s, Marvel, especially like with the Fatal Attractions, X-Men and stuff, they did the little foil card and the cover, or like X-Men #1, they had the gatefold cover that sold 1 million copies. DC had the Death of Superman and Green Lantern going batshit crazy, and Batman breaking the bat. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed and loved all those stories, but they were doing variant covers. They were doing gimmick events. They were doing gimmick covers, or like with the holofoils or the gatefolds, to increase sales, to make you buy the same book over and over again. I kind of call that the George Lucas effect, right? Because he got you to buy Star Wars 15 times because they added this sound, they added effects, so whatever. Which is smart business, and there's obviously a market for it. People are spending the money on that, so I get that. I totally understand that. I'm not bashing the model. I'm just saying that I think it's not sustainable. And the reason is, when you're falsely inflating the value of things, eventually that value is going to come back to what it is, right? For example, you do a variant cover of any X-Men book by someone big like Philip Tan, who I love. His art is amazing. And they do a limited run, and people soak it up, and they get it slabbed, and they're like, it's a 9.8, and I got my Philip Tan. That's great, but one, they're all slabs, so none of them are going to be destroyed. Two, the print run, even though it was limited, was probably still large enough that it's a decrease. It's not going to be worth anything in the future, because everybody's going to have a pristine one. Or inflating the value of a first appearance because the movie's coming out, and then the movie sucks and flops, or the movie does well, creates buzz, and then it fades out like every other movie, and the value of the book goes down again. So you spent all that money on this first appearance, you slab it, you grade it, you get all that stuff done, and then the value drops, and now you can't even turn around and sell it for the same. Hey, Zach, what's going on? And that's a lot of what's going on. And then you've got retailer variants, right? The big publishers, to make more money, they do retailer variants where a store or an online dealer, and it's mostly the online dealers at this point, they through Marvel and DC, they get permission. They pay a fee to Marvel and DC, and they have to do a certain print run, and they get an artist that Marvel and DC approve, and they get the variant cover for whatever issue that they work out. And they're selling it online at a marked up price because it's limited and because it's a variant. And I think a lot of these things have contributed to what I feel is the downfall of readership. There's other factors: poor writing, hiring people that are not really comic book people per se. I think those are issues that have affected it. But just speaking about this side, it's like the 90s again, where everybody bought the Death of Superman because all of a sudden people who are not comic collectors think that this is an investment, this is their retirement, this is their stocks. They saw that there's value in comic books, but they don't understand why there's value in comic books. There's value in comic books based on scarcity and rarity. Hulk 181, the prices went up because of Wolverine and the Hulk and other things, but it was always an expensive book, because how many of them are in existence today, especially in great condition? Because back then there was no slabbing. People destroyed their comics, they folded them up, put them in their pocket. Parents threw them out thinking they were garbage. There have been floods, there have been fires, and it's decreased the amount that are circulating. And then people are hanging on to the ones they have because they don't want to get rid of them, therefore creating, the supply, the demand with a low supply. Low supply, high demand. That's the way it always goes. But when you're falsely lowering the supply, I think that bubble is going to burst eventually. It has to be a legit, there were books out there and they're destroyed, they're not in great condition, but now we're going to have a ton of great Venom books or whatever, slabbed, 9.8 or more. I don't know if there's going to be value in them later. Now, I could be wrong. Again, this is my opinion and speculation, but I think that's part of it. So getting back to crowdfunding, you see booby books doing well. This economy is bad, but booby books are doing well. People aren't reading those booby books. They enjoy the art. They enjoy the nudity. They buy the covers. And those campaigns are still doing thousands and thousands of dollars. Good on them. I'm not bashing them, not hating on them, but it's a sign of what crowdfunding is. I really think it's more about collectors and swag and investment, right? I mean, and I'm guilty of doing the Kickstarter exclusives because I have to try to stay with the industry. I have to survive. But, you do the limited run foil or black and glow in the dark or whatever, or you get the big name variant covers. God knows I'm the king of variant covers. I do a ton of them. It's mostly because I love art and I want to support artists, but it also does, help a campaign to have variety, etc. So again, I'm not complaining about this per se because I'm part of the industry doing this. I see the problems that are coming, or at least I feel they're coming. So right now, the viable ways of a small publisher like myself to succeed are crowdfunding and or distribution. Those are really your ways to go. With crowdfunding, as I mentioned before, watching the downtrend, unfortunately, I think it's because Kickstarter, first of all, Kickstarter is not easy to navigate for some people, and they have add-on issues. If you have limited variants and stuff, it's hard to do a lot of them because with their add-on system, it's very difficult. I could get into that deeper if you want, which I might later because I had a few issues with my campaign. But people are showing that the readership following backers are not high. Those are the people that I think are coming in right away and buying the book because they enjoy it. But then, hey, Timothy, what's going on? I was going to mention Thursday night. Absolutely. I'll be on Timothy B. Fling's show Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So go check out Timothy B. Fling's page and follow, and go check out his show, his podcast. So I think Kickstarter is probably a very low readership and high collector. Now, again, when I say collector, I mean people who enjoy collecting books because of the covers and the art. When I say investor, that's people I think that are going to flip or feel there's going to be a value to the book later on. It's going to increase in value, and they're looking at this as their next stock or bond, or retirement or whatever the case may be. So I think, to me, just to define my definition, my terms, there's reader, which is me. There's collector, which is also me. I enjoy covers. I love beautiful covers. And there's investors. And those are the people that this is solely a means to make money off of, flip, etc. Kevin said, transitioning away from crowdfunding onto your own online shop seems like the natural move. I agree that crowdfunding should not be the primary business model. It's not meant to do that. I agree. The problem is it became that, I think. I don't think it's sustainable or viable at this point. One, Kickstarter is now really inundated with comic books, right? I mean, that was a smaller niche, but now it's much larger. So that's the thing. And then again, how many people are looking at updates when you send them? I can tell you not many. I've done some market research and tests. You're lucky if 10% of the 270 backers I had were looking at their updates, because they're getting updates from every campaign that they ever pledged on. So you know that they're just deleting it and not looking at it. I've had people say, I didn't get my PDFs. That's because you didn't look at your update, or it went to spam, and you just click through the updates. So, there's so many factors that go into that that affect crowdfunding. It is not viable for growth, in my opinion. And if you look at the big names that do well, they were distribution first. Billy Tucci's She was huge in the 90s through distribution. You look at Mark Silvestri and Top Cow, and you look at Brian Pulido. These are guys that they made their name with distribution and then really grew on crowdfunding. Now, Pulido is a minor exception because he mostly succeeded on crowdfunding. So kudos to him. He's a very smart businessman. He's got a great model, etc. But again, Are people reading Polito's books or enjoying the art and the sexuality of it? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm just asking. And I'm not implying anything bad about that because honestly, I love his art. The art's beautiful. Polito gives you a beautiful book. He gives you your money's worth. The character's interesting. It had an animated movie, Lady Death. So again, this is not a knock. It's just looking at the aspects of things. So you look at Kickstarters all across the board. Everybody's Kickstarter is floundering. It's underperforming. And when you're a small publisher like me, and you go to Kickstarters, you're trying to get enough of that money on the Kickstarter to fund the next book. Like me, there's two ways to go about it. Some people, it's the funding of the Kickstarter that's going to get the book in production. I don't do that. My book is done, with the exception of Withered. That's another story. My book is done before going to crowdfunding, so I can fulfill quickly because I feel that's the better model for backers. Nobody wants to wait months for their book. So I'm paying ahead of time out of pocket to create my book and hoping to recoup that with the Kickstarter and make money so I don't have to pay out of pocket each time towards the next book. And the problem is, when you look at the current economy, when you look at the current fan base, I don't know where the backers for Tragedy have gone. We really were making progress and growing, and it was fantastic. And then we just went backwards. And again, a lot has to do with the economy. A lot has to do with being inundated with a lot of options out there, whether it's Kickstarter or crowdfunder or Indiegogo, etc. There's also the tribalism. Some people will not back Kickstarter. They only back Indiegogo and vice versa. I'm not really into tribalism, but hey, if that's what you believe, I'll respect your beliefs. But because you could be upset with one of those crowdfunding platforms for their stance on politics or whatever, but it's not them you're supporting. It's the creator, and that creator may not share that political point of view. So that's why I think it's a shame that people are into tribalism, because you're hurting the creator. You're not spiting Kickstarter, so they didn't get their 11%. Okay, but I didn't get my book funded because of tribalism. So just keep that in mind. I have a lot of friends that have Kickstarters right now, and they're subpar. They're underperforming. Some of them are not going to fund. And I always use this as an example. Rabbit's Badass Song by Flash Delirium LLC, that's Christopher Elston and his wife, Chastity, is a great book. It's an indie book that if it had an image label on it, people would be buying it off the shelves and it would be doing well. It's really entertaining. It's a really well-written, well-illustrated book with a great story. And he's not continuing. He couldn't make it to book 4 because of subpar performance. And it's really a shame. And again, I'm not hating on booby books, but it is frustrating for a creator like myself who's trying to put out quality story to struggle. And someone who's putting a naked chick on a cover is doing 70 grand. Now, I'm not saying don't support them, and I'm not saying boo on them. I want them to succeed. If that's your model and that's what you're doing, there's a market for it, fantastic. I guess my point is, support the booby books, but can you also support the hardworking storytellers? Can you do both? And maybe you can't. Maybe the economy's tough and you have to choose. It's either this book or that book, and I like boobies. All right, I get it. I like boobies too. I like real ones, but okay. And again, I'm just teasing. I'm not trying to knock them, because there's a market for it, and I want everybody to succeed. And if that's your model, I congratulate you. I just want to see the other guys make it too. I want everybody to succeed. So again, so your option then is to go to distribution. But here's the problem with distribution. Diamond takes 60%. If they even accept you, which they're very much more likely now than earlier because they've lost major clients. But they take 60%. Lunar takes less, but Lunar is a lot harder to get into. So you figure your book is either going to be $3.99 or $4.99, depending on how big it is. My book's 30 pages, without ads, so I'm going to do a $4.99 when I go to distribution. But out of that $4.99, say I was going through another publisher, 60% is coming from Diamond. That publisher is going to take 30% at least. You're paying for your own creative team if you're with a publisher that lets you keep your own creative rights, which is most publishers at this point. They cover the print run at the beginning for you when you're with a publisher, but you have to pay that money back. And some of them make you pay the marketing back. You can lose on every book easily, or maybe make 18 cents on a book. So unless you get into high numbers, 20, 30, 40,000, which is not going to happen, at least not right away, you're losing money. And a lot of the small publishers, they don't want ongoing series. They want self-contained 5 issues or a trade paperback because of their expenses with print runs and because of the investment they're putting in to that book. What if, they can't keep investing in a book if the sales are going down and it's floundering? They're there to make money and survive. So they don't want to take a chance on ongoing series, Source Point Press, Antarctic, and all those, which is understandable. So me, I'm going by myself. Filbo Publishing, I'm going to go through distribution myself. I'm cutting out the middleman. But again, Diamond is going to take 60%, and then I got to cover the print run, the creative costs, the production costs, and I probably won't walk away with money per book. So I have to weather that storm, and then I got to put money into marketing, right? I mean, previews alone is not going to do it. For those of you who don't know, when you go through distribution, in the case of Diamond specifically, previews is the catalog, the magazine that has all the publishers and their comic books that goes to the local comic shops. And that's what they order from. They look and they say, I think I can sell this. I don't think I can sell that. And they order accordingly based on their shop, their clientele, their pull lists from that catalog. That catalog has grown. There's hundreds of indie publishers in there now. So there's a lot of competition. And an LCS is a niche store. We're not in 7-Elevens and Optimos and all that like we used to. And Diamond doesn't go to, like Penguin House goes to bookstores and all these other places. Diamond doesn't have that reach at this point. Penguin House won't even look at a little guy like me because they want a guaranteed minimum run, I think, of like 20,000. So that they're off the table. Lunar possibly could take you, and Diamond could possibly take you. Diamond's more likely now. They just lost Image. They lost IDW. I think they lost Dark Horse. They still have Boom. I think they have Dynamite. They have smaller publishers like Billy Tucci and stuff like that with his Crusade Comics. And Merc, I believe, goes through Diamond. No, maybe they go through Lunar. Sorry. Anyway, so Diamond is more willing to accept quality indie books now than they used to be. They used to corner the market. They were the monopoly. Now they're not. So sorry. So you've got to weather the storm, and you've really got to, it's like if you opened any store, a deli, a comic store, you're going to have to put in at least 80,000 in capital just to get the store up and running before your first customer comes in. And most businesses, if they survive the first 3 years, they're lucky if they break even. That's just the stats. That's just the facts. You have to sustain that and weather that storm. And that's what I'm going to try to do. But there's other things. If you crowdfund your book and then you go to distribution, granted, it's only like almost 300 people for me that aren't going to go back and buy it off the shelves, but you're looking to reach 2,200 stores over the country and, how many thousands of people. Right now, we were in an age where if a comic for DC or Marvel sold 500,000 copies, they were probably middle to 3/4 up the list. Now, the biggest seller is Batman, and it's like 134,000 copies a month. So to think that a small guy like me is going to come out and do more than 1,500 the first time, maybe 500 to 1,500, to think I'd do more than that is really not understanding how difficult this is. Even if I grow to, say, 20,000 issues, will it be able to sustain itself at that point? Yes, but am I like really living off that? No, I'm not. And you've got to meet deadlines, and that means you got to pay those creators every month. And you've got your monthly or your bi-monthly, because you can go every other month with Diamond Distribution if you see fit, or you can go monthly. A guy like me, Tragedy is an ongoing series. It's going to be every other month through distribution. to keep up with the pace. We're 6 issues ahead, so that'll be a year to keep on the schedule. But getting back to previews doesn't go to the fans, that goes to the comic stores. So even if a comic store decides they want to buy 10 of your book, if they don't turn a profit and sell at least 8 or 9 of those books, they're not ordering you again next month. So I have to market to the fan base as well as the LCS, the store, because it's the fan base that's going to make the money back on the money spent by the comic store. Otherwise, they're not going to keep investing in my book. So there's a lot of marketing you have to do, and that's money as well, and that's a lot of groundwork. So it's very hard. It's not a sustainable industry right now for the small publishers because our print runs are not there. And when you have a low print run, you're paying anywhere from $2.60 to $4 a book for print, depending where you go. I mean, that's absurd, right? How do you make a profit if you're spending more than half of your cover price is for print, 60% is going to Diamond, and you're not even going into how much it cost you to pay your creative team? Even if you kept your costs down, each book you could get, say, for $2,500, you're in the hole. So looking at Diamond right now, and again, they've been in the business for 30 years. They were the king of the crop. They were the top. So I'm not telling them how to do their business model. They know better than I do by far. But they lost a lot with the big publishers. And I think if Diamond were to embrace the indie community and become that indie publisher to get the small guys like me out there by lowering the percentage, cleaning up their shipping issues, because there have been a lot of shipping issues, and really helping promote and cleaning up their customer service with their liaisons, and really helping promote these small independent publishers, they would see sales go up. And I think they can make up, not all of it, but some of those bulk sales that they were getting from the big publishers through many independent people. Now, Diamond is not going under. People keep saying that, but the truth of the matter is Diamond sells their select line of stuff. They still have Boom and other companies. They're not going to go under. They're not going to fold. Now, is it possible that's in the future? It really depends on who jumps ship from here on in, because they've lost a lot of big ones. But if Diamond, who has the intelligence, has the capital, wants to adjust, they'll adjust. If the owner, I forget his name, is older and he wants to retire and sell it off, then maybe it goes under, or maybe the new owner decides to adjust to the market and do their thing. That's possible. But honestly, if comics are to survive and thrive, I'm sorry, crowdfunding is not the way to go. That's it, Steve Jeppy. Sorry, thank you. I couldn't remember. It's not the way to go. And if distribution is going to be the alternative, they're going to have to account for the costs of an indie guy like me, and others, because it has to be profitable for everyone. And if you're taking too much of the pie, you'll have no pie left. And then what are you taking 60% of? So I'm really hoping that Diamond steps up and matches Lunar's percentage, which I'm not sure what their percentage is, but I know it's lower than Diamond. And that's also why a lot of people are going to Lunar. They're paying less. So I hope Diamond is able to and willing to adjust that percentage to become that indie publisher distributor. I think, and again, they know the market better than I do. They've been doing it for 30 years, so I could be talking out of my ass. But I think it would be worth a shot to adjust. The other thing is a lot of LCS aren't happy with Lunar because Lunar is its own shop as well. It's not just distribution. It sells the DC comics that they distribute, etc. And LCS feel they're in direct competition with them. So that is something that's slowly brewing and stirring in there as well, as Lunar starts to take on more of these big companies. Shops feel like they're competing with Lunar. The other thing is Diamond has poor return policies, which, look, let's face it, it's hard for Diamond to say, okay, we'll take back whatever you don't sell, because then Diamond starts to lose money, and so does the publisher. So it's a very It's a very difficult thing to work out. I don't know if I have an answer for that right now, but there is that problem. The returns issue has been a problem, a complaint about a lot of comic stores. Again, you can say, well, it's up to the comic store to order appropriately, but at the same time, a lot of times the publisher, distributor, they're giving them these incentives to order a certain amount, and they're kind of making it hard for the comic stores to not order that amount. And comic stores are closing. Comic stores are floundering. I mean, COVID was bad enough, but it's already hard to run a comic shop. That's why you're seeing toys and games and other things coming in, because they need supplemental income. They need other revenue streams to keep their stores open. With rents going up and utilities going up and price of paper and printing going up and bags and boards going up and everything going through the roof, this is becoming less sustainable in industry. And that's when you're seeing more of these variants and more of these gimmick limited to 20s and this and that. And I really think we're doing the 90s all over again. And what happened in the 90s? It imploded. And the collectors left. There's another thing I think contributed to the current state of comics, and I might get a lot of flack for this, but I do think it's true. Image Comics. I loved the excitement of Image Comics, and they did a lot in the 90s to boost the comic industry. They did a lot. Liefeld and Silvestri and McFarlane, they were celebrities, and they did a lot for the comic industry. They brought a lot, and they deserve credit for that. So this is not a knock on them. But factually speaking, I feel that when they left, Marvel and DC became a rival that was very successful against Marvel and DC. They scared Marvel and DC. And DC and Marvel do not want to make celebrities out of any of the artists or creators anymore. They don't want you buying a book because of who the writer is or who the artist is. They want you buying a book because of who the IP is, because they own the IP. They don't own the creator. And if I'm buying books because Rob Liefeld is the artist, when Rob leaves a book, I'm going away from that book. They don't want that. They want you to love the IP. So I think a lot of times now they're getting artists from overseas, which one is less of an expense because of the exchange rate, but also those people are less likely to be at shows all over the United States. They're not celebrities. I can tell you some artists that are phenomenal in Marvel and DC right now that you may not know of. And if you do, they're not celebrity status. I mean, think about it. Since 2000, are there any legends born? I mean, if you had a Mount Rushmore of artists or writers, artists mostly, they're probably all from the 90s and back, right? 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, right? How many are you really pulling out from the 2000s? I don't think any. Now, there's some amazing artists that I think deserve great status, like Tyler Kirkham, Jose Luis, but they're not being treated in the same fashion as the legends of the past. And I think that's a reflection of Image. What Image accomplished and succeeded, I'm sorry, it's not a reflection of Image, it's a reflection of the response by Marvel and DC to Image. And I also think creating the celebrity worship aspect of things has hurt comics too. Why? Comic shows cannot thrive when they're smaller because they can't afford the appearance fees of these celebrity artists, or the artists are untouchable. You can't reach them. You can't contact them. They've elevated their status to where they've outpriced small guys. You reach out to one for a cover and they won't even answer you. They'll see it and ignore it, or they won't answer you, or it's not worth their time because they've been elevated so much to celebrity status. I think that hurts the industry. I remember when you could go to a church basement convention, stand across from Walt Simonson and Louise Simonson, and you're just talking comics and shop like average people. And you may say you can still do that. You can. They're very friendly when you talk to them at conventions, but you can't reach them online. You can't get them to do a cover for you. You can't, get them to do your show. It's hard because they've reached legendary status. Now, did they earn that? Of course they did. They did amazing things. But when the fans have started to create this celebrity worship atmosphere, I think it makes it more difficult for people to enjoy these artists, to enjoy these things. And then the big publishers get to monopolize on them by getting the variant covered by them. But little guys like me are left out of the loop, which hurts us. So now the indie scene is hurt. The indie scene's biggest problem is we don't have distribution. Because we need to get out there to more people for an economy to flow, right? Economies flow, industries flow when money flows through the economy, right? Everybody's getting a piece of the pie, everybody's succeeding, and the money is flowing and circulating and moving around. That's economics 101. That's simple common sense, right? The indie market doesn't have that because we don't have the reach they do. Kickstarter, you're very limited in the reach that you can make, you know? Yeah, man, that looks great, Timothy. Thank you. Absolutely. The indie section of the industry doesn't have distribution, so we have a limited reach, and crowdfunding is not giving us that reach. And then you look at the algorithms of Facebook and Instagram, and they're burying us. They're killing us because they want you to pay for ads. Then you pay for an ad, and you're still getting no results. I'm not even going to get into that right now. I think Facebook ads are fake, fraud, and a scam, and I said it. And I think you can't quantify or justify these numbers that they throw at you. You just have to take them at face value. And that's not a good business model. That's not a good marketing model. The whole point of marketing is to be able to trend and track where your money's going, where you're being seen, and where your money's worth. Facebook ads don't give you that. They throw numbers at you and you're supposed to believe them. Do we, when it says you hit 15,000 people, did it hit 7,000 people 2.5 times? You know what I mean? Or whatever. I don't know. And I put in for my demographic, and it's pushing to 60-year-olds. 60-year-olds are not the majority of my demographic. Why are they sending it there? So, the algorithms are hurting us. Distribution is how you get out there and you get seen. But again, if distribution is not viable to sustain and make money, if you're going to be hemorrhaging money, how long can you last? Now, someone said to me yesterday, congratulations on Tragedy hitting book 5. Most books can't make it that far on crowdfunding. Good for you. Right. Here's a hard truth. I can't continue if I'm going backwards like this. It's not me crying or complaining. I'm not yelling at anybody. But if I'm going from $12,829 and 259 backers, and I've grown, that's where I've grown, to go backwards to where I can't even break 6,000 right now in the middle with 15 days left. That's not growth. How do I continue? I can't keep getting Bill Sienkiewicz covers and Chris Pachalo covers and Will Spatasio covers if people aren't continuing to support. I'm not pressuring you or trying to shame you into not supporting. I'm just stating facts. These are facts. So crowdfunding is not working anymore. I'm going backwards, largely going backwards. How do I sustain? How do I get to book 6? How do I get to book 7? We say we want new and fresh ideas and we want good storytelling, but do we? Because where are we putting our money? Are we putting it in those things? Or are we just the force-fed stuff that's being regurgitated and remade and redone over and over again, remakes and subpar writing, and that's where we're throwing our money, and that's where we're creating a buzz and talking about. But there's some really, really good indie books that are written well and are illustrated well that are floundering. So does the fan base really want new, fresh stories, interesting stories, good reads, or are they just looking to collect nice covers, or are they looking to just enjoy the regurgitated crap that's being force-fed to them? Because what I've learned is if you put something in someone's face enough times, you subconsciously convince them it's good and they'll buy it. I mean, think about it. You could have a subpar book, but if a big name is attached, it'll sell thousands. You could have an amazing book with my name attached. It's not. So there is this perception by people that a big name or a lot of exposure means it's good. And that's not the case. There are a lot of crappy shows that get a lot of exposure and they're not good. Same with books, a lot of comic books. So basically, Your options are crowdfunding and distribution, and crowdfunding is not sustainable. It's not. I mean, you look at Brian Polito, he's still racking in a ton of money, and God bless him, good for him. He worked hard, he earned it, he's a smart businessman, but even his campaigns are underperforming compared to last ones. It's a tough economy. That's true. But the other problem with Kickstarter and crowdfunding is this. I'm reaching 50 to 300 people at most. My print run, like I said before, is $2.60 a book to $4 a book. I have to charge you $15 a book because Kickstarter takes 11%. Shipping comes out of that goal. So I don't know if you're all aware. Right now I'm at $5,597. All the shipping is in that. So that's not profit. 11% of that goes to Kickstarter. And another probably 10 or so percent of that is going to go to shipping. And then there's the money it costs me to pay the creative team. I'm not making money. I'm losing money. So that's not a viable, sustainable platform. It's just not unless you're a huge name that can make, $425,000, or Ethan Van Sciver or some of these guys that can pull in thousands to $1 million. So that's an issue because the percentages that come out of it, and you got to remember, we have to charge higher for the book, $15. And then to try to make it worth your money, we have to spend more money on stretch goals, which are free giveaways to you, which help offset the fact that you're spending $15 on a book, right? So I'm spending more money on the stretch goals now. So that $15 you pay for the book isn't $15 in my pocket. It's the money, to spend on the book, and then the money it is to pay for those stretch goals, because you're getting the stretch goals that I had to pay for them. So what happens? People look at Kickstarter and go, why the hell am I spending $15 on a book when I can just go to my local comic shop and get a $5 book? And that's true. When the time and the economy is tough right now, nobody wants to spend $15 on a comic book off a Kickstarter. They'll just go to the store and buy 3 comics for that price off the rack. And 3 comics that are from a well-known publisher or a well-known IP or a trusted writer. How do you compete with that? You can't. You can't. And it's reflecting right now. Hey, Raymond, how are you doing? It's reflecting on Kickstarters for everybody right now. Everyone. And Kickstarter, again, it was a great concept to help kickstart your project. But that's as a hobby, if you think about it, right? Because without continual growth, it's only a hobby. And how many campaigns have stopped by book 3 or 4 because they just couldn't get the momentum to get the funds to continue make the book, right? And again, with Kickstarter, if the funds you get are what help you pay for the production, now people are waiting 6 months for your book. They forgot all about it. And on top of that, you can only put out how many books a year through crowdfunding? You can't. Even if a guy like me, I get the book done, I get it crowdfunded, every 3 months I'm putting out a campaign. That's only 4 times a year. That's 4 times a year you can put out a book. And Kickstarter won't let you do multiple campaigns unless you open up another account and play that game. They won't let you. Now, Kickstarter doesn't mind if a creator doesn't fulfill and rips you off, but they say to you, oh, you can't run multiple campaigns because we want to keep the integrity for the fans. Well, then, if you want to keep the integrity for the fans, what are you doing about the people that are screwing everybody over and not fulfilling their campaigns and took their money? You know what I'm saying? So there's so many obstacles for small publishers to get out there. So how do we solve this, right? That's my always point of view. If I complain about something, I'm looking for a solution. And I really think the solution lies with Diamond right now. Where do they go from here? Do they embrace lowering their percentages and becoming an indie distributor? They got Boom, they've got Dynamite, but they lost all the big guys. But there's so many of us that would love to go through distribution and give it a shot, but they would have to restructure. They would have to clean up the shipping issues, the return issues. They would have to help promote more on these indie publishers, and they'd have to lower their percentage. They'd also have to have better customer service where their liaisons are on track and don't switch every 5 minutes or disappear, and they're on you and they're with you. That's the first thing. The second thing is they've got to find a way to printing alternatives in the sense of what it costs to print a book. It's astronomical now. It's too much. If I'm going to pay a lot of money to create a book, I'm okay with that because that artist is giving you beautiful work, right? They're telling the story in sequential work. I want artists to get paid. Same with editors, writers, etc. The creative team, they need to get paid. But to not be able to pay an artist or an editor of high quality because I have to look at paying through my rear end for printing or distribution, now you're not putting out a quality product, which means it's not going to sell. It's this vicious cycle, the snake eating its tail. And it's got to be, I really think it needs to be restructured. And I think the industry is in trouble right now. I don't think it's comics are going to die, but they're in trouble. And I hate to say this, as much as growing up, I would have loved to see X-Men movies and Marvel movies and stuff. I think movies have really hurt comic reading. I also think there's just so much out there that, people have they're flooded with so many options that something's going to fall off the cliff, and it's also hurt attention spans because everything's at the touch of a fingertip. When your attention spans are dropped, do people want to sit down and read a comic anymore? I don't know. And do you want to spend $5 or in this case on Kickstarter, $15 for a comic book that you have to wait a month or 3 to 6 months to get the follow-up when you can spend $15 a month on a streaming service and watch all the movies you want? These are questions I'm posing that I think are problems. Now that's true. The movies aren't attracting the comic people as much as they are, they attract the larger audience, and that larger audience, they thought they were going to bring over to the comics and they didn't. They're not coming over. The people watching the movies are not buying the comics and reading them. They're not. The stats show that. Now that brings up another question. Manga is doing really well. Yeah, I think the movies have peaked as well. But here's the thing about the movies. I don't know if they've peaked and people have fatigue, or it's just the writing has been so bad and the movies have been so bad that people are tired of that. And I'll tell you why. Nobody has trust in the latest Marvel movie. They feel like some sort of message or agenda is going to be driven. And you look at all the news and they're gender and race swapping, and you have activists writing these stories, and they're not writing characters realistic. I've said this before. I may get flack, whatever. They don't know how to write women protagonists, heroes, or males. If you look at every male hero, he is broken and defeated, and he is no longer his hero self, and someone else has to lift him up out of his doldrums. Look at Ben Kenobi. Look at Boba Fett. Look at him. And then the women are perfect. They don't make any mistakes. They know everything. They're better than everybody in the movie. They can fight a predator at 110 pounds one-on-one and not get a scratch, and they're infallible. And I think that's a bad message to women, because women's strength is not that they can do everything perfect. It's that no matter how much they go through, whether their physical body that men don't go through or whatever self-doubt they have in their head, they get up anyway. That's the strength of a hero. Rocky sat there and said, I don't care if I win this fight. I just want to show and know that I could be standing when that bell rings and that I went toe-to-toe with the greatest fighter in the world and I could take the punches. That's a hero that we root for. We've gone away from that. We don't have writers that know how to write anymore. And the ones that do don't have any resume. They don't have any following, so no one's giving them a chance. And it's a tough pill to swallow. It's really hard. So is it that there's movie fatigue? Or is it that the movies just aren't written well and they're not written for people to love anymore? I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I know it's a good question. No, they don't. They're using the comic books, I think, to get the comic readers to the movies, because they figure the average moviegoer will go to the movie regardless, as opposed to the other way around. And the reason why I think that is because comics, they're changing them to look like the movie counterparts, right? The X-Men for a while there became the X-Men from the movies. That didn't go over well with readers because they're trying to bring the readers to the movies, and maybe they're trying to bring the moviegoers to the comics, saying, "Look, it's the same guys you saw in the theater." It didn't go over well because those people aren't coming. So, what are your thoughts, all of you in the chat? Sorry, I was just reading it. What are your thoughts on how to fix these issues, how to help the industry grow? Because again, going back to this, I do not begrudge anybody success on their books. I wish everyone success, because any comic that succeeds is a plus for the comic industry, right? We want comics to flourish so there's still an audience and comics can survive. Having said that, there's no hate in what I'm saying, but it is frustrating when you see booby books or just variant covers of big names are making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and those indie books that are written really well and are good, entertaining stories that I'd love to see out there. And not even just mine, I'm talking about other people. Rabbit's Badass Song. Lee Giles has a great book right now. I'm drawing a blank. It's a zombie book, but it's written really well. And it has great undertones with the political climate and the change in the U.S. and everything. Oh my God, if Lee's here, I apologize for forgetting. And that's funny that you say that about targeting kids. I agree. And here's the problem. Kids aren't the ones with money, and adults aren't buying. Red Scare. I'm so sorry, Lee. I am so sorry. Red Scare. That's another great book. How many people know about it? You know, I mean, how many? We watched Walking Dead for 11 seasons. That show sucked 8 seasons ago. But are you picking up Red Scare? Yeah, Kid in a Comic. Great newspaper by John Jay with a lot of great creators. But targeting kids, for example, I put out the Dynamics in January. Totally underperformed. $3,000. None of my backers, my tragedy people didn't come out for it. That was a family-friendly Pixar type book. That is a book that parents are going to enjoy. It's a superhero tale, but kids can appropriately read too. There's no sexual content, there's no gratuitous violence, and there's no messages that are inappropriate for children. You could sit down and read it with your kids. And there you go, Raymond. There are 3 kids buying manga for every adult buying a superhero book. And that's true. And think about this. When you look at a DC or a Marvel book and the story is about a female superhero, Captain Marvel, complaining to Miss Marvel that some guys are hitting on her in her Facebook DM, and that's the whole plot of the book, you wonder why readership is down? Who does that relate to? Who does that relate to? Yeah, marketing is definitely one of the toughest battles we indies have, Lee Giles says. It's true. You want to know why, Lee? It's hard enough to get new eyes on it, but we are getting new eyes on our books. They're not buying it. They don't trust us. It's like Kobe Bryant, rest his soul. His last contract, he got paid an exorbitant amount of money based on his career, not what he was currently doing, but his career, right? Because people come to see Kobe, even if he's not the Kobe of the past. His name had value. His brand had value. They trust in Kobe, that he might even have that one thrilling shot left in him. So they were able to pay him that contract because he was still bringing people in the seats. So if a writer with a good name that maybe hasn't written a good story in the last 10 years puts out his own IP, people are going to come in droves to read it because they trust him. Even though he hasn't earned their trust in the last 10 years, he's not written well in the last 10 years. At one point he did, and he wrote what they loved, so they trust him. But Lee Giles, Phil Russert, Christopher Elston, I don't know you. How do I know your book is any good? And why would I spend $15 on your book when I could go to the store for $5 and buy Batman? Buy somebody I trust all the more better. There's a fairness in that way of thinking. There is. There's a very fairness in that. Hey, Robert. Yeah, Tragedy Chapter 5 is live right now. The campaign is halfway over. Dynamics was great. Thank you, Lee. Dynamics was a great classic style comic that should have sold well. Thank you, Raphael. But nobody wants to take a chance on that, you know? And it's a tough thing. We're not selling our book at this point, Lee. We're selling trust. That we're not giving them a shitty book. But they don't trust us. you know? So it's tough. So any suggestions? How do we fix this? Because we're fighting an uphill battle with marketing and getting eyes on it. We're fighting an uphill battle with costs. We're fighting an uphill battle with respect. Bleeding Cool, they're not doing any interviews or giving any press to a guy like me or Lee Giles. They're not. They're not even doing it for Black Box Comics, my friend Demetrius, who has a great comic line and a great company, and he is in distribution. But they're going to hype up DC and Marvel. Do they need the hype? No, we do. But all of these Bleeding Cool sites and these comic news sites, they're not promoting us. They're not doing a damn thing for us. Right? So how do we get to more eyes? How do we get more backers? How do we overcome the costs of everything to succeed? Anybody have any thoughts? And do you agree with me that Diamond is in a great position right now to adjust their market strategy, their business model in a way that they can succeed and help lift up indie publishers? Do you think that's stupid? Do you think it's a pipe dream? Do you think I'm foolish and ignorant to think that, or do you think there's something to that? Yeah, Lee, you're right. How many people at conventions have said this book looks cool, but I've never heard of it? Or how about I will get I sell well at conventions, I do, and I think part of it is my passion for the book. But how many of you sell books at conventions and get a ton of tire kickers? And what do I mean by tire kickers? They stop, they look at the book, they look at the art, and they go, "Wow, that looks great," and then they don't buy it. They walk away. What is the reason for that? Is the book too much? Is it too much money? Is it trust? Is it I'd rather spend my money on a $30 pop than $5 to $10 on a book I don't know if is any good? I don't know. As far as Diamond being on the ropes, again, they do sell their select line of stuff. They do have Boom and Dynamite and other companies. So I don't know if they're about to go out, but they do have to adjust. They have to adjust or they're done. Look, for all we know, again, I don't know why I can't remember his name. My God. I'm scrolling. Steve Jeppy, that's it. For all we know, Steve is like, all right, you know what? At this point in my career, I've done it all. I've made my money. I'm done. And he folds. Or maybe he sells it. They'll survive as a toy company, but they'll still do comics, though, is my point. But they could flourish in comics, I think, if they change their model a little bit. Maybe Jeppy says, look, I've done it all. I've made my money. I'm done. I'm retiring. Or maybe he sells it off and the new person. So, yes, they have lost 80% of them. You're right. And they're not going to get that 80% back unless another big publisher comes out. But again, if they were to embrace the indie publishers, maybe you make back 40% of that market, right? And maybe one or two of those publishers grow and become the next Image or the next Dark Horse, and you make up even greater percentage. Steve's too busy managing his sport teams. Maybe, probably because that's where the revenue comes. But they can make up a lot of that. I don't see the small press expos, so I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't seen it. But I don't know, because Diamond is taking on a lot more indie people. But the question is, how long will these indie people be able to survive when they're taking 60%? You're chasing your tail at that point. If you're going to take on these publishers, you want them to thrive if you're Diamond, because you want to make money off of them. You only make money off of a publisher that's making money, right? So help the publisher make money, you make money, everybody gets a piece of the pie. That's how the economy flows. But are they going to lower their percentage? Are they going to fix the shipping issues? There's been a lot of shipping issues, damages they won't fix, they won't take back, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. I have a lot of friends that have gone to Diamond Distribution where they wouldn't have been taken 5 years ago by Diamond. Diamond would have said, nope, sorry, don't need you. But you're not worth the investment. But now Diamond is taking them. So is Diamond starting to say, all right, we got to make up some of this loss. Let's take on the quality indie projects. That's a good start. But now you need to help them succeed. Lower that percentage. 60% is insane. It's insane. It's insane for a creator to lose money on each book unless you get to a $10,000, $20,000 print run. And if that even happens, that's going to take years of building. Years. Now, no business is in the business to help anybody else. They're in the business to make money. But it's a domino effect. If everybody else fails and you're reliant on a percentage of those other people, you're going to fail too. Self-preservation dictates get less greedy so that everybody gets a cut. Back in the day when Wizard Magazine existed, there was a column called Palmer's Picks written by Tom Palmer, and he would go in depth with just indie books and publishers, but indie doesn't have a big spokesman anymore. No, they don't. You're absolutely right, they don't. They do not. And we need someone to create that buzz. We need, like I said before, Bleeding Cool and all those other news outlets, they won't even think of doing an article on a small guy like Lee Giles or me or Christopher Elston or Rob Powers or anybody. They won't. And we're the guys that need that. But they won't. They'll keep pushing the new DC Marvel thing that everybody knows. Sonopa Publishing, there's another example. What's up, man? How are you? It's another example of a hardworking, small indie publisher trying to just get past the cost of things and succeed on crowdfunding. So, I mean, those are my thoughts. I do think that all the slabbing is eventually gonna make books have no value because everyone's gonna have one in pristine condition and protected and safe. That's just me. I do think that all of these variants from these online dealers that they're doing are eventually going to implode. There's just too many of them, and there's going to be fatigue on that if it's not already starting. And I think this falsely inflating the market prices with creating limited runs is going to implode on itself eventually too. It did in the 90s. It's going to do it now. And the reason why I think that it's like, if you look at an art gallery, you say, why would somebody pay $1 million to tape a banana to a wall? Simple. They falsely inflated the value of that piece. They had somebody go in there and pretend to buy it for $1 million. So somebody else goes, oh, there's value to this. So they go in and they bid and they pledge higher at $1.5 million, and this thing gains value. Value is always in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. Value is in the eye of the beholder. But if you convince that eye that it has value, it now has value. And that's what marketing is. Convincing you something has value. No, I know what you're saying. And that's the thing about what I was saying with Lee Giles before. We have not convinced people we have value. And that's why they aren't coming in droves to see us, but they will to a subpar book by a big name because the name has perceived value. Branding has become a big thing. Athletes do it all the time, right? LeBron James makes a ton of money, but he makes just as much, if not more, off the court because of his branding. And that's just the way the society has gone. And we, the fans, have created this. We created this, then we complain about it, and we don't do anything to fix it. And that's just a fact. We do the celebrity worship. We put these people on a pedestal, and then we complain that we have to stand online for 4 hours just to see them and get a quick signature. Whose fault is that? That's us. That's our fault. We put them there. We complain we want new and fresh ideas, but you won't support the indie community where there's tons of them. You won't. You just won't give it a shot. But you'll go buy the latest Teen Titans story that's written like shit by an activist that has no clue who these characters are and is pushing an agenda, and they have no comic book history. That's true. I'm sorry. It's true. It's true. It has nothing to do with diversity. I love diversity. X-Men was all about diversity, and Claremont was all about that. And I love those books. Nightcrawler from Germany, my favorite character. Colossus from Russia. Storm from Africa. Bishop later on. I love, that's fine. That's perfect. But it's not about that. They're writing crap. The stories are crap. They're whiny, bitchy stories, and and as Raymond said before, they're not even catering to kids to enjoy reading anymore. I was reading comics at 11, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. Now, the sexual scenes, the language, the content, it's not for kids. And then the pricing, $5 a book, $10 for an extra size book. Who the hell can do that? What kid can do that? I used to walk in the store, and with $10, I'd walk away with 30 comics. And I would just sit down and read all day. And then the art is another thing. There are a lot of great artists out there, and some of them are not, because they don't want superstars anymore, and they want cheaper artists to save money. And editorial, I could be wrong, but I don't think editorial is what it used to be. Right now, they're pushing schedules and numbers. Editors used to check the sequential work, make sure that it made sense. I don't think they're doing that anymore. I don't think editors are actually editing books. They're just making sure they're on schedule and getting them out on time. I could be wrong, but that's what I think is going on. I don't know. So that's why quality is going down too. There's a lot. Manga can teach us a lot, Western comics a lot, but are we learning? I don't think the big publishers care. I don't think they care. It seems like they're intentionally running these books into the ground. Sales into the ground. They're not learning. They're not listening. And what they do is they turn around and vilify the fans. If a fan says, I'm pissed off that you took a character of 50 years and turned him gay out of nowhere because it just makes no sense, they say you're homophobic. No, I'm not homophobic. Create a gay character. And if he's a cool character, like when they made North Star gay in the 90s, it made sense. I was fine. He's one of my favorite characters. I don't care that he's gay. It's not a problem. But because they never established him for 40 years as being straight. But when you take a character who's had girlfriends and this and that for 30 years, 50 years, and all of a sudden he's gay, it's not natural growth. It seems forced. It makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? We like natural growth in characters, don't we? Peter Parker naturally grew. He went from the nerdy student to a teacher at one point, right? And then he got married. There was natural growth. But if you all of a sudden turned around and made Peter gay after 50 years, it just doesn't make sense. People don't, and that's the other thing, people don't just turn gay. I really think you're born gay or you're not, but you don't turn gay. So why is that acceptable? It's weird. If you want to do an ultimate, like another universe, like, for example, Miles Morales, that's fine too. He doesn't have the same power set as Spider-Man. He's called Spider-Man, but he has a different power set. And he's an interesting character. That's fine. Good. And then the other thing they're doing is the multiple characters. The Spider-Verse, I'm sorry, it's crap. You're ruining Spider-Man by making 15,000 versions of him. I think it was a terrible idea. The only character I want to see multiple of that makes sense is Green Lantern, and that's because it's a corpse. It's like a military establishment, so to speak. It's a police force. But like all the different colored Hulks, it's bad. It's unoriginal, boring storytelling. It's lazy, and it's obnoxious, and it's hurting the industry. And people are still sucking that stuff up. But then why don't you go look at Red Scare? And you might say, oh, it's just another zombie book. Believe it or not, good creators, good writers can take a trope that's been done before and still make it interesting. How many vampire stories are out there? A lot of them are still good. How many zombie stories are out there? They're good. If the characters are relatable and the stakes are high, you'll be invested and enjoy the story. I think people get a fatigue from a certain genre because more people keep tagging on that genre just for the sake of jumping on that genre, but they're not giving you quality stuff. If it was constantly quality, I don't think there'd be a lot of fatigue. If every zombie story was kick-ass and really good, I don't know if you'd have fatigue. You'd be enjoying the stories. And I look at Red Scare, and that was an enjoyable story so far. It's really good. And it's more than just a zombie tale. I look at Rabbit's Badass Song, and that's a really good story. I don't want to ruin that for you, but you should check it out. And look, every creator thinks their book is great. I get it. And not everybody's going to like tragedy. But tragedy is not just some wannabe Batman, Daredevil, Elektra at all. The story is totally different. I have a character that has a superpower you've never seen in comics before. I incorporate a ton of different things and I make this interesting, and you have no idea where this is going. And you're not going to if I keep trending backwards. And that would be a crime. That'd be a shame. I really think it's a good story that most people will enjoy. It may not be for everybody, and everybody who reads it says it's really good. But how many of you want to give it a shot? The dynamics. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's family oriented, it's got action and superhero fun. I can't put out a book 2. It didn't justify it with sales. Unless secondary market selling at shows and stuff picks up. Dynamics is not going to continue. And I have 6 issues written, and it's a great story. It's a great story. It is not a wannabe Incredibles or Power Pack. It's taking the family superhero trope, but it's written differently. It's totally different. And Withered severely underperformed. $1,900. Now, Tragedy was doing $13,000. My backers didn't trust to come out for Withered. Maybe it's pretty serious content, but it was original. It was different. It's different. Has anybody ever done that storyline before? No. You want to know what the storyline is? Time is not a construct of the human mind. It is not a measurement. It is actually a malevolent being that imprisoned God and is slowly satiating itself off of our life essence, and that's why we age, we wither, and we die. The angels had a great war to save God, and they lost. And only 3 archangels survived with a few angels. So they're recruiting people that are worthy before they die and are totally consumed by this thing. And they're building up the angel army again to fight. Now, the devil is the right-hand man, the general of this thing's army, but he has his own plans. So it's kind of got a Game of Thrones thing going on. The devil is just doing what he's got to do to bide his time, because now that God's out of the way, it's just this thing he's got to deal with. So the devil has a trick up his sleeve that I'm not going to tell you about. He also has Baal and Belial and all his generals. So I do some Game of Thrones stuff in there. There's epic battles, angels versus heroes. Demons look like humans in the human form, except angels can see what they really are. There's these screaming souls coming off of them. And I'm proud of it, and the pages are looking phenomenal by Will, but at 1,900, that's something different. Have you ever heard of that before? So do you want new content, or do you want the same old shit? I don't know what to tell you. Is it frustrating for me? Am I frustrated? Of course I am. I'm not going to lie. Do I think I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread? No. Are there better books? I'm sure. But this is a good book. It has all those human emotions. Like the protagonist of the book, it starts off in a short story in The Devil's in the Details as he's dying. And he finds out all of this before his deathbed. And his incentive to win this war is his family. He doesn't want to see his wife and kids and grandkids become just consumed by this thing. There's no heaven, that they're obliterated. They're nothing. So that's his motivation to fight. But he's a newly formed angel, and he can't detach from them. He keeps going down in another form just to run into his wife at a coffee shop because he misses her and he loves her and he doesn't want to leave her. And he's struggling with the fact that he kind of has to, but he won't. And then he puts them in jeopardy because the demons go after his family. And he's trying to learn how to fight with a sword and how to fly with wings. You don't just know how to do that. And he confronts a demon in the first one, and you think one demon is no big deal, but for him it is, because he can't. They're faster than him. They're stronger than him. They're deadlier than him. I like heroes that don't win all the time. How else are they a hero? If you don't fall, where's the strength? Because the strength isn't getting up. When you want to quit, when you're tired, when you're exhausted. And if I'm to be totally honest with you, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I work very hard at this publishing company. I work very hard at putting these books out and writing quality stories and paying for top quality art and big names. I spend a lot of money. I work 7 days a week at my day job, and I work every minute other than that being a father, a husband, and publishing. And I'm not giving you a woe is me, and I'm not trying to guilt you into buying my book. I'm just being very candid because that's what I always do. I bleed for this. I love what I'm doing. I believe in these stories, and I write stories of these natures because it's what I feel every day. I'm like you, man. I feel like quitting sometimes. I feel like I'm running up a hill with a boulder on my back and boulders rolling down at me, and it's just impossible. It's insurmountable, and I feel that sometimes. But then something just stirs in my gut and says, "Shut the hell up. Stop your freaking crying and go show the world." And that's what heroes are supposed to be, man. That's what I want to be. It's not that we don't feel defeat. It's not that we don't feel like quitting and laying down. We all do sometimes. It's that we don't. That's a hero. We lift ourselves up in moments of weakness. That's a hero. And those are my tales. That's what I write. If that is not relatable to you, then I don't know what world you live in, because every one of us has had a morning where they go, the alarm clock goes off and they go, I don't want to face this day. I just want to curl back up under bed because I can't take it. I hate my boss. I hate my coworkers. I hate my job, whatever it is. But you get up and you fight anyway, and you keep striving each day to be better the next day and make your life what you want it to be, right? I mean, that's what we do. Sonopa Publishing, and Lee Giles and Christopher Elston, and how many of us work our day jobs and we probably don't love them, and we'll work until 3 a.m. at night for our publishing because we love it. What better person to reward with your faith, with your trust? And I love every share and every like. And to be honest with you, when I see 10 people share my posts, it brings me to tears sometimes that people would root for me like that. And I'm so grateful. So with what I'm about to say, please do not think I am not absolutely grateful for every share, because I am. But now I'm at a point where I need financial backing. I need support to continue, period. I need people to start talking, creating a buzz about my stories and how good they feel they are. Not just in my DMs, which I do appreciate, but to the world. Create that buzz. Same with Lee Giles. You got to create the buzz about him. I talk about these books all the time. But we need to start supporting creation again, creative ideas, that spark that some of us have. Because let's face it, once you get to a certain level and you've made your money, fat cat, you sit back, you've made your money, you can charge $500 for a shitty outline sketch or $20 for a signature. Is your passion still there, or are you just getting the money? Do I knock them for that? No, I don't. I mean, get that money. Do what you got to do. There's no retirement in comics. But if you want to see passion in creativity, come to us. This isn't a money grab. It's a passion play, right, Pete Vasquez? I mean, we need to solve this problem. If comics is to survive, we need new ideas, new approaches, restructuring, and we need to start investing in the people that care about the comic industry. Collectors are great. Investors are great too, because they're helping put money into the economy. But if you want to get readers back, we got to change it up. Thank you. Withered sounds amazing. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. But nobody backed it. Withered had 49 backers and made $1,934. And of that, 11% went to Kickstarter, 10% went to shipping. So I'm going to be there as a fan at the very least. I'm hoping to get into Artist Alley. I haven't heard from them yet. I was in Artist Alley once. I doubt I'll be in there again, but we can try. But I'll be there at least as a fan. So Wither had 49 backers in 1934, and then by the time everything came out, I think I got like $1,200, $1,300 off of that. You know what it cost to make the book? $4,000. I lost money on that book. I can't do a sequel right now, and you have no idea where the story is going, but it's great. I love It's really inspiring. Yeah, I will. I will. And the reason why I said that about Pete Vasquez is because when I was running my conventions, Pete coined that phrase. He said, "You know what, Phil, your shows are great because it's not a cash grab, it's a passion play." So I always like to give him credit for saying that. Because I don't like to steal phrases. That's all Pete Vasquez. Um, you'll be sharing a booth with him, or you'll be next to him. But anyway, look, I don't mean this to be a whiny rant. It's just truth, though. It's facts. It's the facts. Tell me anything that I said that wasn't true, and give me your backup of why I'm wrong. Because honestly, I don't think I am. I might not be 100% knowledgeable on everything, but facts are facts. Yeah, Pete's also knows Sonoma has its own booth this year. Oh, cool. Are you what booth are you? Drop it. Let everybody know. You'll be at New York City Comic Con booth number. Oh, my cousin Daniel. What's up, Daniel? I did that exact thing today. I was going back to bed, saying job sucks and people are annoying. I kept hitting snooze for 1 hour and 10 minutes per snooze. We're all facing that, man. And it's a hard thing when your spirit is wounded like that. When you feel no zest for your day ahead of you, that is a miserable slow death. And I don't want that for anybody. So when I make this video, I'm not just talking about me. Of course I'm talking about me, but not just me. I'm talking about so many other indie books that I really think deserve a good shot. I really do. Black Box Comics has a lot of great titles. Do you know of them? I hope you do. They're in your local comic shop. Ask that retailer to order Black Box Comics. Daniel Calvin has his book out, American Dream. Go support it. It's in distribution now. Lee Giles has campaigns for a bunch of books. Go support him. Christopher Elston. We're not going to see a Rabbit's Badass Song 4, and that's a crime. It's such a good book. Sonoma Publishing, as of now, is booth 4040 at New York Comic Con this October. Go check them out. I feel where you're coming from. Tibby is 50% of goal with another 330 people following the campaign who haven't pledged yet, working hard to point people there. Yeah, I know. And getting the following is tough. And then when you get them, they look, but they don't, So for those of you who haven't done a Kickstarter, there's something called a conversion rate. And they give you analytics. And what you have is your followers, right? That's the people that click the link and are following the project to be reminded when the thing is going to end, right? They get reminders at 48 hours, 24 hours, and I think 6 hours or something like that on Kickstarter in their email. The conversion rate is how many of those followers become backers. They actually now, instead of looking at it, actually pledge on the campaign. So that's the conversion rate, followers to backers. Most times that conversion rate hovers around 30 to 38%. That's usually where that percentage lies on every campaign. It's pretty solid. Yeah, my conversion rate usually falls in around 34%. Exactly. And mine usually is anywhere from 32 to 38. That means only a third of those people following decided this campaign was worth their time, money, and trust and effort. That's not a high percentage, guys. It's not even 50%. So for you to hit good numbers, you have to get that follower rate up 500, 600 people, just so 30% of that will back your campaign. And that's very difficult with algorithms. And Kickstarter, they'll put the big campaigns up top, the ones that don't need your help, and they put the little ones at the bottom. They're not looking to help the little guy. They're looking to weed you out, is honestly what I think. And that's a shame. And again, what I'm telling you, I'm getting backed up by Sonoma Publishing right now, what I said, percentages and everything. So I'm giving you facts here. I'm giving you truths. My followers right now on Tragedy, I think I'm at like 180 something. And I'm already at 30 something percent. And my campaign has hit a dead zone for 2 days now, day and a half now, not one backer. I'm in trouble. I can't continue like this. I cannot. I'm just being honest with you. I can't do more Kickstarters if I'm going from 13,000 down to less than 7 or 8,000. I can't do that. That's not a sustainable business model. So, sorry, I'm just looking at the dashboard. Yeah, so at this point, I'm at 186 project followers with 59 converted, which is a 32% conversion rate. So I'm basically topping out right now at what's expected. So unless I grow that project following, I can't see any growth. Now, I know a lot of people that usually back my campaign. They've backed every campaign, have not backed yet. Maybe they're waiting to the end. Maybe they just don't have the money. I don't know. But we're at 126 backers. I used to do 269. That's a large, large, large drop. That's a huge drop. Now, in the last 48 to 24 hours, do you get a spike? Usually, but you also get a lot of dropped pledges. That campaign I did $13,000 at, do you all know that in the last 4 days, $3,700 worth of pledges dropped? Now, I was told that there was a bot problem in Kickstarter, and that's probably what it was. I also have a few haters that I think set up some people. That is what it is. I lost $3,700. That means that campaign should have been, or would have been, I should say, a $17,000 campaign on my third book. That's a lot of growth, right? $10,000 to 17. That's a great growth. That's almost double, right? But book 4 goes down to 7,900 and change. That's a huge drop. That's $5,000 loss, and at like 70 backers lost. And then you look at this campaign trending at $5,597. I can't even break $6,000 with 15 days to go. 126 backers. Now, yes, the economy's tough, so my average per backer is lower. It's $10 to $15 lower per backer than it used to be. Like I had one guy who, and I'm grateful, he's always backed, and he usually backs everything, spends like $400 and something, which is crazy. God bless him. Thank you. He's still backed and he's supportive, but it was, it was one book at $23. So that's a sign that the economy has a lot to do with this. People are hurting. I appreciate that he just continued backing. He could have just not backed at all. So thank you that he still wanted to back it. So I'm not complaining about that. I'm just making the observation that pledge values are down and the amount of backers is down and the amount of followers is down. I should be up in the 200s with my followers right now. It's also a popularity contest. There's also a lot of nepotism in this industry, right? I mean, people who know people or who are friends with people get jobs. People who just want to support you. If you have enough family members, they do it. To be honest with you, my family members don't support my campaigns. My brother, my cousins, they don't. My father does, and that's it. I'm not complaining, just being honest. So if you have a large family that wants to come in and support, that helps your numbers. If you have a big circle of friends that want to come in and support, they're going to do that. I don't do that. I solely earned this based on just people looking at the book and liking it. But where have they gone? They've gone backwards. They've disappeared. So I don't know if this is my last campaign for tragedy. I'll have to find out in 15 days. And that's not, I'm not saying this to make you pledge. I'm not saying woe was me or trying to ultimatum you into pledging. I'm being honest. Because if I stop getting the big name covers and I downgrade the quality of the book, that's not going to get me more followers. And I have to cut expenses somehow to keep going, and it's not going to happen. Again, a large part of it is the economy. The other part is there's a ton of competition on Kickstarter. There's thousands and thousands of comic books. But how much is the economy the problem? Because I am seeing booby books do $70,000. So if it's the economy, it's because those people are having to choose where their money goes, and they're choosing the booby book over the story, which is where the economy hurts, as opposed to they would have bought the booby book and they would have bought my book. If I had $1 for everyone who said if you just popped Tragedy's tits out, you'd make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. And that's probably true, because you know what? The third campaign did 13 grand, and that's the one that had the Mike DeBalfo cover. And I told Mike, don't make her half naked, and he didn't, but she was still a little more sexier than I usually do. And he sold like 50 issues off that campaign. So That was a campaign that had the sultry, if you want to call it, cover, which was unintentional. So if I did that, if I whipped their boobs out right now, I could probably, this campaign would go larger. I'm not doing that. That's not the character. Her strength is not in her boobs and her ass. I have two little girls, and I want them to learn their strength is in their heart and their mind, in their conviction, in their determination, in their motivation, in the fact that when they want to quit, they're not going to because they're better than that. That's my character. That's what I want to portray, and it has nothing to do with sexuality. She's feminine, but I'm not going to over-sexualize her. If you do that in your book, no complaints here. You do that, you get your money, you do your thing. It's just not what I'm going to do. And even if it means I have to fold tragedy and not put it out anymore, I'm not going to do that to the character, ever. And if that means you don't want to back my campaign because I'm not sexualizing her, then good luck. Enjoy the stuff you enjoy. Genuine Comics. Hey, buddy, what's going on? And that's just the way it is. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go that route. She's not going to have her boobs pop out ever. So she'll disappear before I do that. But yeah, we've flatlined for how many days now? 27th. Oh, 4 days. In 4 days, we've flatlined. We've only had like 1 or 2 pledges, small pledges. So if you can come out and pledge, I'm telling you, Chuck Dixon, Peter David, and Howard Mackey say tragedy is written well. The art is nice looking. I have great covers. I have big name covers. I have Will Spatasio, Ian Churchill, Tyler Kirkham, Larry Stroman, Sean Chen, Bill Sienkiewicz, Chris Pachalo. I have big name covers coming. I've got Jimbo Salgado with Alex Sinclair colors. Alex has colored a lot on my covers. What? No boobs? What a tragedy. I'm giving you professional level quality for the money you spend. I can't do any more than that. I'm shopping as hard as I can. Marketing, you guys see my posts every day. You're probably sick of them. I get it. But I got to do what I got to do. Yes, I never know how to pronounce his name. Please, is it Arjun Sif or Saif? He has 2 new covers that I introduced as well. By the way, there was a little controversy with him years ago, and I just wanted to make this statement. I'm aware of the controversy. I'm also aware that nothing he did in the books promoted violence or hatred, and he's entitled to have an opinion whether I agree with it or not. I don't cancel people unless they were to use a horrible derogatory term or incite violence on someone or something serious. And he didn't do that. You may not like his message, but he didn't do that. So I don't cancel anyone. And he lost his career over it, and that's a shame. Anyway, that's another story, and that might get me in trouble, but I'm always honest and that's truthful. I don't cancel anybody, and I don't get canceled. You can do what you want, because most of the time the people that cancel you were never supporting you anyway. So you can stick it up your rear end. I totally respect and appreciate you not compromising on sexualizing tragedy. I feel like there's too much gratuitous nudity in some of these comics these days, but that's just my opinion. Well, like I said, I don't begrudge it. I love the female figure. I love women. I love sex. I have kids. They didn't just magically appear. I just don't see the sense in a cartoon form. I really don't know what people do with those books. I don't want to blacklight those books. I don't really know what the appeal is, but I don't look down on them for it, because I don't have that same taste doesn't mean that it's bad that they do. I'm one who believes live and let live. You do you and I do me. As long as no one's hurting each other, who gives a shit? So go buy the booby books, support them, throw hundreds of thousands at them, make these people money, go for it. Nothing wrong with that. But if you could also support art and creative minds and good storytelling, that would be wonderful. That's all I'm saying. Help others succeed too. You know, um, level the playing field as much as possible, because um, you can enjoy that booby cover and the pinup cover, but you can also enjoy a really good story, right? You can enjoy both. So why not? Look, I've been ranting for an hour and 36 minutes on my 1 day off. Yes, there's frustration behind this. I'm absolutely honestly telling you there is. It is really hard to work as hard as I do. I literally work 20 something hours a day. I mean, you could talk to the artists I work with. We're communicating at 1 in the morning. I'm constantly editing. I'm constantly writing. I'm constantly getting pages in, sending them back if they need to be sent back, except getting them colored, finagling Peter and Paul to take care of stuff, working my day job. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm not giving you a woe is me. I'm just telling you the situation. And to work this hard with this much love and passion, and to watch my campaigns going down and down and down is disheartening, and it's frustrating, and it's confusing, and it makes you question what you're doing wrong, or should you not be doing this. And in my heart of hearts, I really believe I should be doing this. I think I'm good at it. I think my stories are quality. I really do. I really do. As a matter of fact, I've given away a lot of free books because I believe in my writing. Brandon London has even read some of my stuff. He won some contests, and whatever I got to do to get you to see it. See, the thing about an artist is, if you're a good artist, it's real simple. You draw some. I'm not saying drawing is simple, but the process is easier in the sense of getting out there. Is you draw it, you show the picture, and people see it. Either they like the art or they don't like the art. Either the art is captivating or they're not. Now, is it hard for artists to still sell and stuff? Of course it is. It's very hard. But what I mean is, it's easy to get your work out there for people to sample size it, because it's a matter of just looking at the picture. But as a writer, you have to read my book to sample size it. You have to be able to get the book and read it to sample size it. It takes 2 seconds to look at a picture. It takes 10 minutes, 20 minutes to read a book. People have short attention spans, and they don't read the book, or they don't want to pay for the book. So I don't have that instant, oh, look, I can write, you know? The other thing is, with Kickstarter and crowdfunding, how many people have piles this high on their table of books they haven't gotten to yet? There are people that are pledging on Tragedy 5 and still have not read 1 through 4. It's sitting on a pile. So you don't know how good it is or not because you haven't been able to read it. And it's hard to catch up on all the crowdfunding and stuff. So that's another thing. How many people do you send the PDFs and they don't read them? They either deleted the update and didn't even know it was there, or it went to spam and they never got it, or they got it and like, whatever. I'll read it when I read it, and they forgot all about it. I'd like to know what percentage of people actually read the PDFs. And then where's the feedback? Where's the buzz created about it? Those are things that are important to the indie community. I mean, we could talk about She-Hulk, which in my opinion is the biggest piece of garbage show ever. And I can tell you why all you want, from the humor not landing, to it not being about a superhero story, to it making every man look like a total piece of garbage or an idiot, to depicting a woman as a drunk slut, which I don't think is a good depiction of women at all, to, again, the humor not landing, to the characters not being likable, to ruining Daredevil, to not having good action sequences, to having that ridiculous version of Titania, that glam version of Titania. It was just terrible all across the board. I'm sorry. It's terrible across the board. But we'll create buzz and talk about that. But God forbid you talk about that indie book that you really liked, whether it's Tragedy or Red Scare or whatever. Readers aren't coming back for new issues. Have you tried gathering information from backers? Ask them what they think about it. Yeah, I did an update, and I offered something free to everyone who answers to tell me why they haven't come back and backed. 10% of the backers responded, and the 10% that responded were the people that are backing. So honestly, I would love that. Thank you. That's another thing. For some reason, a lot of the people I know who run shows in my I wouldn't say my circle, but I know well, they never want me on. They never invite me on, and if I ask them, they have no room for me, but they have everybody else on, and I don't know why that is. They just won't have me on. If you notice, I don't do a lot of other shows. I do my own live shows. Nobody wants me on. I've had people that have me on, they won't have me back. Maybe I did something wrong, or maybe they don't like my messaging, or they don't like me. I don't know, but they won't. They won't have me back. So I do this alone. I get very little help, and I work hard, 20 plus hours a day, 7 days a week. I took a day off today because I was burning out from my day job, and I've been doing publishing all morning. So, yeah, Timothy, thank you, Timothy B. Fling. Let me put up that graphic that you actually. I didn't even realize I should do that. Duh. Sorry. Thursday night, tomorrow night, I'm going to be on a show at 9:30. Let me pull it up for you guys. Again, I'm sorry if this comes across as a whiny rant. I don't mean it to be, but I am stating facts. I'm stating facts, and I don't think they can be disputed if I'm to be honest. So check this out. This is the show I'll be on tomorrow night. So it's The Creative Cranium, episode 22, Effective Social Media. Phil Russert, Eric T. Mullins, Kyle Merrill, and Timothy B. Fling. Thursday night, 9:30 p.m. Where can we find you? It's on YouTube. What's your should they type in The Creative Cranium on YouTube? So there you are. That's tomorrow. Tomorrow night, 9:30. Don't just come out because I'm asking you to come out for the other independents. So it's on YouTube, The Creator Cranium. Just type that in, you'll find it. So please come out, not just for me, but for the other guests. That would be great. I was going to drop a link today, and I will share it out, of course. Thank you, Timothy, for inviting me on. Timothy, somebody wanted me on. That's nice to know. I appreciate that. The reason why I talk so much, the reason why I'm always doing videos is because how else am I going to get out there? Facebook is burying the algorithms. Kickstarter is not helping smaller campaigns reach new people. The economy is in the tanker, Timothy, you might want to run that by Mr. Van Zant because he hates my guts and he may not want that. He already said no to somebody else who was going to have me on a show that would be across that platform. So you might want to run that by him because he'll be pissed. Anyway, and Genuine Comments said Timothy is good people. I don't doubt it, just from my interactions and from how he interacts with other people, he seems it. Anyway, so forgive me, but I might just really quick show the campaign if you don't mind. I know this is where I lose 6 people out of the room probably, but I got to do something. Dwayne's here. What's going on in his campaign as well? It just funded, I believe. It just ended. I think I just got the email. I backed that. Again, this was about if you came in late. I suggest everybody, let's give me ideas. What do you think of the solutions to these problems? If you missed this, go watch the beginning of the video. We're just talking about actual things. But I'm just going to play the trailer real quick if you guys don't mind. Please don't leave. Hang out. You might like what you see. You can pledge. If you don't want the book and you want to donate $3, $5, I'm grateful for anything. All right, so let's check this out. Trailer done by Let's Do This.com to him. I love that music. It's like a Conan kind of just vibe. It's just badass. It's really good. I got the story so far. I got all the trailers to the first 4 issues if you want to catch up and see what it's all about. My team and interior samples so you can see what the writing is like, what the book looks like. It's action and exposition, and I promise you it's not boring. The pacing is good. Again, when Chuck Dixon, Peter David, and Howard Mackey say it's well written, I'm floored that they felt that way. Got a ton of covers. I'm sorry, this actually went really fast. This was a Tyler Kirkham foil cover. I don't know why it's doing that static. Sorry. This is still available. I only had 5 printed, and only one of them is signed of the version foil. I'm sorry about that noise. I don't know why it's doing that. Signed by Scott Hanna and Ryan Kincaid. So one of a kind, one of 5, but the only one signed. It'll come with a CEO. Mystery box. People ask for this. I put it up. They don't buy it. They don't pledge it. I don't get it. So that's that. You get a Random Tragedy 1 cover, Random Tragedy 2, 3, 4, 5. You get Dynamics issue 1 random cover. The Mike DeBalfa comic size metal print. That's the cover I referred to before. And a random comic size paper print. So you get a lot for that. And anybody who knows my mystery boxes from the past, you don't get garbage. You'll get a foil. You'll get a big name cover. I'm not giving you all my inventory that didn't sell. I'm giving you quality stuff. I don't like doing that to people. We've had some issues backing, which I corrected one of them. The problem with Kickstarter is when you have a lot of limited run stuff, you have to make some add-ons, some main tiers. You can't do them all as one or the other. It's very difficult. And the problem is if both things you want are only add-ons, and then how do you get to them because you can't just buy the PDF or something like that to get to it. So I made the shot glasses a main tier. So if you want them, you can get them and then pick any cover. So this is an exclusive, limited to 30. It's a sketch cover on this side. You can draw any character next to her you want. It could be Elektra, Bullseye, Daredevil, whatever the hell you want to do. It's limited to 30. This is a glow-in-the-dark cover, limited to 20. And I promise you, my limits are exactly what they are. I will not print extra. I will not. This is a lava foil cover, which is going to look gorgeous in lava foil. I don't have the effect on it. My apologies, but this is limited to 25. This is a one-of-a-kind piece of art, Zealot versus Tragedy. You get book 2 along with the original art and the cover. This is book 3, Breath of the Dragon versus Taskmaster, Kenny Calderon. This one sold, Elektra versus Tragedy by, oh my God, Sean Carlson, sorry. Book 2, Breath of the Dragon versus Deathstroke the Terminator, original art, a full cover, and the inside is the whole book of book 2. Envu for book 1. Mike Gerlich for book 3. J.M. DeSantis for book 1. And these were added as well by William Withers. And again, these are the subsequent books, 1, 2, and 3 with the art on them. We've got an ad campaign. Believe it or not, I sold a lot of ads. I sold 2 half-page and a full. I got 1 full left. So Clan McDonald Comics has an ad. Big Little Giants Comic Show has an ad. We have a few others coming. Got a retailer tier, 5 copies of each, and I give you the big names: Ian Churchill, Tyler Kirkham, Mike DeBalfa, Jose Luis, Alex Sinclair color, and Jimbo Salgado with Alex Sinclair color. We got the Filbo Publishing Bundle. You can get everything I publish if you so choose. Got a blank cover. You can save money by buying the sketch pack. I take $2 off the book, each book, if you buy a sketch pack. We've got a gatefold cover. This is going to fold out here to be a 3rd cover part. This is the front, this is the back, and this folds out like the old Jim Lee X-Men #1. gatefold cover by Ricardo Silva. There's the Alex Sinclair colored over Jimbo Salgado. There's the Kevin Stewart. A lot of people love this book. This one sold a lot. It's got that Frank Miller vibe. Steph Wilson always sells a lot. There's his. He's also got his art on the sketch on the glasses. I'll show you. Jesse Rasco, who has a campaign going on himself right now. Go check it out. This is his cover. These are characters that are in there. Robert Tiano with Skylar, who is his model and his girlfriend. I could do this all day. Yeah, a lot of people love the Kevin Stewart cover, man. And Kevin Stewart's a great guy. I also represent him proudly. Kenny Calderon, I also represent. Breath of the Dragon, causing havoc. Breath of the Dragon has a power no one's ever used before in comics. For those of you who have not read the comic, would you like to know what the power is? I mean, he has his suit is made out of my world's version of adamantium. It's called baronium, which is a real metal in real life. It's the hardest substance known to man. It's diamond and metal mixed together. And he has a flamethrower in one gauntlet and a poison gas in the other. Hey, Raleigh, what's going on? But if you want to know what Breath of the Dragon's power is, I'll tell you, because those who already know, and those who don't, it's because they're not buying the book. Ryan Santos, great, beautiful painted cover. And in person, this is fantastic, especially. That's Jesse. He's a villain. Gus Mock, this one goes really well. Breath of the Dragon. I designed these characters. I'm very proud of them. Everybody loves their design. I would love for that to translate to buying the book. And yes, Gary, Kevin has an original art tier commission for a commission as well. Thank you. So does Kenny. So do some of the people that I represent. John Kotsis with an homage to John Romita Jr., which we'll be sure to put that digitally on there. It was up on the corner and got cut off. Yeah, Billy Tucci's went 2 campaigns ago. Went on that campaign. Randy Funk bought it, actually. I love this cover, Javier Lugo. Jesse travels through shadows, and that's Breath of the Dragon. Breath of the Dragon was an employee of his until he found his honor, and it didn't go well with Jesse. But if you're reading the comic, you would know. And this was a fun cover I really enjoyed by Mike LaPeruta. Spider-Man, Spawn, allegedly. Captain America, Batman, Superman, all fawning over her, as they should. It was fun. I liked it a lot. And then, of course, we added, again, I'm not pronouncing it right. I apologize to him. Arjun Saif or Sif covers. They're trade dressed. I just didn't put them up here because I got busy. I can look and let you know, Raleigh. So these are available. We've unlocked 2 stretch goals, and we're only 400 away from unlocking a new stretch goal print. I'd love to give you free stuff if you want it, but we need $400 more to get there. I was doing a chibi by Rob Powers every campaign. So if you miss the other campaigns, I give you an opportunity to catch up and get all the chibis and collect them with an add-on. But we have this die-cut sticker of the Chance Wolf cover. Chance Wolf inked Spawn and Wildcats and Shadowhawk and a bunch of other stuff in the 90s for Image. Great artist, as you can see. If you want to catch up on Tragedy, we have physical and PDF catch up, and these are the covers I give you. A lot of people would have sat there and said, nope, the Ian Churchill, the Tyler Kirkhams, those are limited. I don't give them away. I sell them for extra. I'm not doing that. You get them for catch up. I'm not trying to milk you. Dynamics issue 1. There's the trailer for Dynamics if you'd like to check it out. My prose book, The Devil's in Details, where Withered starts, if you'd like to check that out. Withered itself, if you'd like to check that out. There's the trailer. Add-ons. We have Legendary Illustrations art books by 7 of the gentlemen that I have the great privilege and honor of representing. You can buy 1, you can pick 3, or you can buy all 7. Great art books. And there's Kevin's, who did that cover up top. And Kenny's in there who did a cover. There's the art book campaign that did very well. Trailer. And here's the add-on catch-up if you want the chibis. Sticker set if you want the stickers. And if you like the original art on these, did the Gus Mock and the Jimbo Salgado comic size prints of the original covers. And then we did the Arden Sif for Saif covers, his pencil covers, because I colored February Ferdion colored right over the pencils because he's awesome. These are in a comic size print. They've been added as well. So if you like these covers, you buy the color covers, comic size print, same size. You can frame them and put them up on your wall together as a set. I mean, look at the detail on those. Gorgeous. Look at the reflection. Look at the hair. Fantastic. He's so amazing. His work is amazing. And we got the shot glasses, which I did make. Yeah, Aaron, if I know you're working, but I took today off because I'm tired. And I'm working anyway at publishing. So these are available as a main pledge now if you want these, not just an add-on, so you can pick one of the limited as well. You can make any cover a virgin, any cover a foil, or you can make it a virgin foil. Here are some art samples so you know what you're getting because they're art commission tiers. If you want to get Kevin to draw you 11 by 17 full figure with background, black and white, inked, this is the quality you'll get. We usually do well on these, but no one has bought them this campaign. I think the economy is just tough. This piece, by the way, is a sample to show you what you get from Kenny, but it is for sale. And if you want this piece, it is for sale. Hit me up in DM. I have it in the portfolio for sale. I sell it. It's out at shows. Rob didn't do a commission tier, but he does have a sketchbook, and he did mashups like this. This is a sample of Ricardo's ability, but you know if you collect the comic book, and he has an art tier available. Will Playden has an art tier available. It'll be pencil and ink, one full character with background. Almost get it to pronounce name. I know that Indonesian hard to pronounce. Yeah, if you guys could tell me phonetically, that'd be great. Carlos Ramos, this is the quality you get from him if you do 11 by 17. Rod Rodolfo, they all have books too, by the way, on the campaign. Yeah, I know, Raleigh. I remember you were asking about it. I don't recall if it's sold. I think I might have it. I have to double check. And then, of course, I just want to remind you, Clan McDonald Comics, if you love art, from big names, if you love art from small names, if you love comic books, rare slabs, etc., go to Clan McDonald Comic Books, Signature and Witnessing. They do Whatnot. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. They do live streams all the time. They do witnessing grading. They have a shop. He's at all shows. He's got live streams. And he's really, honestly, one of the good people in the industry. The man has integrity. He's always stuck by his word with me. He isn't a swindler. He's not a hustler in the sense of trying to take your money. He's a hustler in the sense of an honest, hardworking man with a good family. And he's had a rough year, too, with family stuff. But thank God everything's working out. But if you're not following them, go check them out. You'll see some great stuff. All right. They even work with Spencer from Artist Choice and JR, John Romita Jr. and other big names in their art. There you go, Clan McDonald. So that's the deal, guys. And I want to remind you, we got the limiteds. They're limited, and that's it. And yeah, we're $3 away from 5,600. So we're $403 away from the next stretch goal. If you've pledged and there's something else you like and you want to up your pledge, I'm not going to lie, that'd be wonderful. If you've pledged and you know this book is good, you've been following it for 4 books, and you want to please get your friends in on this or family members, I appreciate you. If you're waiting to back for whatever reason, please don't. They're not going to collect your money until the campaign's over and you have 15 days. So unless you're not going to have money in 2 weeks for a $15 book, there's no reason not to pledge now. If you don't want books cluttering up your home, you have PDFs. I'm selling PDFs of everything. Even the art books will come in PDF form so that you can print them up and make prints out of them. I mean, you're getting 40 prints basically in that book, whereas anywhere else you'd be spending $15 to $20 for a print. Well, you're getting 40 for $25. So that's the campaign, guys. And I said it before, and I'm very serious about this. I'm not saying this as a marketing ploy. I'm not saying this as a woe is me. I'm being very serious. If I continue to go backwards, Tragedy will no longer be on Kickstarter, and I can't do anything. I can't keep giving you a quality book if I don't have the means to do it. So if you have been with me for this ride and you're not here now, I'm asking you why. Just at least let me know so I know what to work on. And if it's just money, if you can scrounge up anything to support this book and keep it going, just buy the PDF. I need your help. I need financial backing, period. You can call this pleading, whining, whatever. I really don't give a shit. You can call it whatever you want. I'm telling you it's truth. It's truth. And that's it. And that's all it is. So as far as the industry, I really think a lot is up to Diamond right now, and I hope that they step up for the indie community and themselves. They lower their percentage and they start taking on more quality indie books and helping them succeed. We've got to. If you want comics to succeed, it's not through variant covers and grading and the collector and the investor, because those people are going to be selective in what they spend their money on. It's the reader. Readers have kept comics alive through all its dark times. Readers are why we will thrive. And if you're not reading books, if you're not collecting books because you think they're not written well anymore, I double dog, triple dog dare you to buy my books, read them, and you tell me if I can write or not. And if it's no, then you have toilet paper for a week, or you can give it away and gift it to someone. But what if it's yes? What if it's a new book that you really enjoy, that it comes out and you have a new book you enjoy reading? You sit on a shitter, you read a book, right? I've thought about that. I just get worried because will my crowd that I have left follow me there? I don't know. It'd be like starting over. But I've thought about it. But seriously, we need to bring back readers in comics. And I have something for everybody. Dynamics is family friendly, but it's like a Pixar film. As an adult, you're not bored. It's not dummied down to a child's level. It's just appropriate for everyone. It's appropriate for everyone. Withered, very serious, dark tones, but it's good. And it hits you in the heartstrings. It's about spirituality and faith at the same time, great evil and good and all the things we love. And tragedy, what can I tell you? If you took Kill Bill, Boondock Saints, John Wick, Big Trouble in Little China, and a superhero book, and you mixed them in a blender and added more, that's what you have. You have no idea where tragedy is going. I'm telling you, just as an example to show you where this is going, I put this up as the main picture because I want to show people where this is going. Look at that picture. I created every one of those designs, and they were put to life by Alex Sarabia, and this is drawn by Ricardo. We have a were-tiger. The thing is, this is his true form. He can turn into a human, and I have a story for that. This is an undead Chinese god. He is introduced in book 4 and more prominent in book 5, and he is going to be the villain of the next story arc. This is an immortal alchemist. This is a ninja from the Dominion of Eternal Sorrow that he leads that group of ninjas. Her face is cut off. Her name is Reflex. She is a psycho. She is basically the Joker of Tragedy's world. This is Reaper and his dog Canine, Cyborg. There's a story about this because of her. These two are grown adult Irish assassins that killed a gypsy's family member and were cursed to be 11-year-olds for the rest of their lives. But they still have their wits, their cunning, and the strength of the adult bodies they had. And they use their the childhood guise to get close and kill their enemies. This is this is Angel and Lucifer. They are Mexican cartel assassins. This is Duality. This is the same person. He's got split personality disorder. He's Drunken Monkey in this form, and when his psyche shifts, he becomes a speedster in this form. And yes, I designed all of these, all of them, and I'm proud of them. And he doesn't, he's the same person, but they think the other person is a separate entity. You know what I mean? And it's comical. And the funny thing is, Breath of the Dragon's ability is if he's in proximity of you when he fights, he can read your future 3 to 5 seconds, which means he knows what you're going to do before you do it, so you can't beat him. Neither can Tragedy. But she keeps fighting him. So when Breath of the Dragon fights Jesse, the Shadow Realm hurts his power. He can't feel him in the Shadow Realm. He can't see the future of him in the Shadow Realm. And when he fights the Drunken Monkey style, he can't read him because he's just reacting. He doesn't have any thought in his head of what he's going to do next. And when he fights the Speedster's just really fast. So even if he knows what's coming, he's already in on him and out before he can read him. So I'm coming up with different things. I have demon possession in this. I have ancient Chinese mysticism. There's surprises. There's a lot. Tragedy is badass. I'm telling you. But you won't know unless you back this book and keep it alive. You got to keep it alive, people. Please keep this alive. This is my dream. And that's just some of what's coming. We have the Transcendentals. They believe in resurrecting a demon to bring hell on earth will help bring the rapture, bring Jesus back. And they don't care that that demon's going to kill everybody in order to get Jesus to come back. And what do? They're sacrificing people and bloodletting them to get that demon back in the name of bringing the rapture. And they have to deal with them. There's a shape changer. There are what we call the new gens and the naturals. The naturals are born with abilities. The new gens' abilities are created in a lab. Naturals are kidnapped and taken by this company, and they create new gens from the naturals, and the naturals die in the process. And that's going to be a major storyline that crosses over with the dynamics, because the dynamics is in Tragedy's world. I also have other books I want to put out. Arcane Syndicate, that is in Tragedy world. Displaced, that is in the Tragedy world. And they all mix and they all cross over later on. I have stories. I have this beautiful universe that I want to grow and thrive, but without the money, I can't do it. If you want something to rival Marvel and DC and Dark Horse and all these things, and you want that new universe that has characters you love and you hate and you root for, the villains you love to hate, the villains you hate to love, if you want that dynamic, if you want that world, I can give it to you, but I need your help. And Joe and Tony are favorites. Yes, Gary. They're fan favorites. They're funny. They're heartfelt. They're loyal Italian mafia guys. They're not villains. They're good people sometimes. They're bad people sometimes. But they all have growth. I'm going to look into that as far as Fund My Comic. So that's the deal. That's the deal, guys. There's so much to look forward to if we can get there. But I need you. Henry, thank you. You love the dynamics. Henry Martinez, Marvel and Malibu artist, read the dynamics and he said it was really good. It is not dummied down where an adult won't enjoy it. It's not dummied down. Parents will enjoy it. It's a fun, action-packed superhero movie. And if you're a parent, you really love the dynamics, because it has the dynamics of a family with dynamic superpowers. Like a father who he worked and he just wants to sit and veg out on the couch for a little while and the kids are acting up. Now imagine your kids are super strong and super fast. So it's heartwarming, it's funny, but it also shows you what a parent will do to protect their children. It's about family unit. It's about the core family, something we've gotten away from. You know, what parents would do for their kids. If you're a parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll never love anything more than your children. You would die and bleed for them. And this is a lighthearted book, but it does show how parents will do anything for their children. And it's a fun book. And it's just getting started, but we're at a halt because it underperformed. And I lost money on book 1, so I need to recover. I'm not giving you a woe is me. I'm just telling you the facts. If you want to see Filbo Publishing continue, if you want to see great books, you gotta support. Period. And that's it. And if anybody reads this, looks at this video, and they're pissed off, they think I'm crying or it's a sales tactic, or they think I'm whining or pleading, that's fine. That's your opinion. You're welcome to it. I don't really give a shit because you're not supporting me anyway. All right. Having said that, I appreciate you guys sticking around for 2 hours and 10 minutes. I appreciate everyone for chiming in. I appreciate those who support, whether it's shares, likes, or pledging, though I do need pledging at this point. I appreciate the kind words. And let's keep indie going. Let's keep quality storytelling going. Buy your booby book, but give someone a shot on a good story. You won't be disappointed. Having said that, I appreciate you. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. And no matter what happens on this campaign, be legendary and have fun storming the castle.